of my favorite films from South by Southwest this year is finally coming out to select theaters, and that means I can finally talk about it. So let's get to it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to a brand new movie review. Today I'm going to be discussing Villains, a film that stars Jeffrey Donovan, Kyra Sedgwick, and of course Bill Skarsgård and Micah Monroe. And it's about a pair of amateur criminals who break into a suburban home, but as they stumble upon a dark secret that two sadistic homeowners will do anything to keep from getting out. This is one of those horror comedies that I was very much looking forward to at the festival, especially when you have Micah Monroe and Bill Skarsgård on board. Now, the funny thing about this one was there was no trailer at the time of seeing this movie. I didn't know that Jeffrey Donovan was in here, who I'm a major fan of him from really anything he's kind of shown up on, but especially the show Burn Notice. Damn, I love that show. It also had Bruce Campbell in it. Hearing that this new horror comedy is kind of taking the reins at South by Southwest and made it definitely a film that I needed to see at the festival last March. And I have to say, after seeing the film, I was very exhausted when I went to see this movie. It was like the last day of the festival. I was sitting there. I'm very tired. I'm like, I'm going to make it through this film. And I was awake the second this film started. Not with just how fantastic and unique this story is, and also how sadistic the story is. This is a horror comedy that it's bonkers. It is truly bonkers what this film goes through, but we're going to talk about it, of course, in non-spoiler detail. I have to say that this, just off the top, this is a must-see film. If you have a theater playing it near you, definitely go check it out. I would honestly urge you to go wait until a theater comes near you before you go and wait for VOD, because this is one of the films that you do want to experience in the theaters. This is one of the most clever horror comedies that I've seen this year alone. One of my favorite things about this film, though, was because of the story. Now, this is kind of a different twist on the Bonnie and Clyde adventure, and it's kind of a little bit more twisted within that, and that twisted nature comes from the great performances within here. If you love Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, you have not seen anything yet. And I really mean that, because as fantastic as he is in the role of Pennywise, he is doing something incredible within Villains, and this has to be hands down his best performance to date. The comedy nature that he brings to this role, the timing as well. I want to see him in a full-blown comedy, but the way that he brings to this role, the nature, the sadistic tone that is kind of thrown all around him, but the way that he's kind of played into here with his relationship with Micah Monroe is one of the sweetest natures of the film, but it's just so down to earth at the same time that you really feel like this is a real story with these people, and you feel these real characters and that you can actually relate to them. Of course, Micah Monroe is fantastic in anything she's ever been in. Every time she's in something, I make it a must-see for me personally, because ever since It Follows, she really blew me away with that performance, and Villains is just another knockout of the park. Besides those two being fantastic in here, for me, the best performance in here is Jeffrey Donovan. He has never been better, and I can't wait. I hope he gets some little cult resurgence after this film, because the depths that he goes to, and again, bringing back that sadistic nature that is because of him and Kyra Sedgwick, who, again, she's fantastic as well, but there's something that Jeffrey Donovan does for this role that, as charming as he is in here, he's devilishly scary, at the same time as being as this charming homeowner. Something that also this film all brings around perfectly is how charming every single character in here, even though they are not great people. The thing I must mention here is what Dan Burke and Robert Olson had actually done for this film. They are the directors and writer of this film, and after hearing them at the Q&A and how they decided to film a lot of the cinematography in here, because the cinematography is excellent. There are multiple moments, especially one moment that really is stuck in my and etched in my mind, that Mike Monroe and Bill Skarsgård have together. They do it a couple times throughout this. It's kind of their like calming nature of way of like relaxing, but it's very beautifully elevated, and it's one of the most beautiful shots in the whole entire film. But the way that the cinematographer and the way that they kind of play around this, they talk about how the whole film takes place in one central location, pretty much, and this is kind of what they always do, but the way that they frame the shots make the house feel so big and bombastic that's a little bit different than many films would actually do to itself. It actually reminded me a lot of elements from Don't Breathe just from a couple years ago. Before I give you guys my final thoughts on Villains, make sure to hit that like and subscribe where I do tons of early movie reviews like this on a daily basis. I also talk all sorts of geeky content over on here every single day. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you guys never miss out on any of that. And plus, guys, while you're here, why don't go over to Sandwich on Films on how to see films early, and make sure to also hit down below and we'll give a big shout out to all my Patreon supporters, because without them, I wouldn't be able to do this. Villains for me is definitely a must-see film. film of this year. It was one of my favorite films from South by Southwest. I really wish it was actually going into more theaters, because with this stacked lineup, especially with Bill Skarsgård and Micah Monroe being the main leads in here, this sick twist on the Bonnie and Clyde story, and it's a horror comedy also all mixed in there. The cinematography is fantastic. The performances are charming, wickedly amazing, and some of my favorites from this year as well. This is still, again, I can't emphasize it enough, it's a must-see. Definitely find a theater playing it near you. Definitely, if you can't find it, then definitely rent it the first day on VOD. So with all that said, I'm gonna give Villains an A. You know what your guys' thoughts are on Villains. Do you guys like it? Do you hate it? Let's talk about it down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and of course, until next time, stay classy.